Welcome back to Children's Church. I'm so glad to have you here with me. And all this month we've been talking about Hit the Beach with Jesus. We've been going in a loose order that has been mostly chronological. I did tell walking on water and feeding the 5,000 out of order, but only briefly. Those actually happened on the same day. They're in the same chapter. And I told them in reverse order. But today we're doing one of the last times Jesus is on the beach. So this is after his death, burial, and resurrection, and before he goes back to heaven. So we're in the book of John, chapter 21. After this, Jesus revealed himself again to his disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. He revealed himself in this way. Ooh, I need to slow down. Simon Peter, Thomas, called Didymus, Nathanael from Cana of Galilee, Zebedee's sons, and two others of his disciples were together. "I'm going fishing," Simon Peter said to them. "We're coming with you," they told him. They went out and got in the boat, but that night they caught nothing. When daybreak came, Jesus stood on the shore. However, they did not know it was Jesus. "Men," Jesus called to them, "you don't have any fish, do you?" "No." "Cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you'll find some." So they did, and they were unable to haul it in because of the large number of fish. Therefore, the disciple, the one Jesus loved, said to Peter, "It is the Lord." By the way, that's John. His nickname is the Beloved. When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he tied his outer garment around him, because he had taken his shirt off to do his fishing. So he tied it around him and jumped into the sea. It says plunge, but he jumped in and started swimming towards Jesus, which I think is the most reasonable reaction here. If I saw my friend who had died and came back on the shore, I would also be swimming to shore. But since they were not far from land, about 100 yards, 300 feet, the other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish. And then when they got out on land, they saw a charcoal fire there with fish lying on it and bread. "Bring some of the fish you've just caught," Jesus told them. So Simon Peter got up and hauled the net ashore full of fish, 153 of them. Even though there were so many, the net was not torn. "Come and have breakfast," Jesus told them. None of the disciples dared ask him, "Who are you?" because they knew it was the Lord. Jesus came, took the bread, and gave it to them. He did the same with the fish. This was now the third time Jesus appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. When they had eaten breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." "Feed my lambs," he told them. A second time he said, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." "Shepherd my sheep," he told them. He asked him a third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was grieved that he would ask him a third time. "Do you love me?" he said. "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." "Feed my sheep," Jesus said. "I assure you, when you were young, you would tie your belt and walk wherever you wanted. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will tie you and carry you where you don't want to go." He said this to signify by what kind of death he would glorify God. After saying this, he told him, "Follow me." So Peter turned around and saw the disciple Jesus loved following them. That disciple was the one who had leaned back against Jesus at the supper and asked, "Lord, who is the one who's going to betray you?" When Peter saw him, he said to Jesus, "Lord, what about him?" "If I want him to remain until I come," Jesus answered, "what is it to you? As for you, follow me." So this report spread to the brothers that this disciple would not die. But Jesus didn't tell him that. He just said, "If I want him to remain until I come, what is that to you?" This is the disciple who testifies to these things and who wrote them down. We know that his testimony is true, and there are many other things Jesus did. If they were written one by one, I suppose not even the world itself could contain all the books that would be written. And that's the end of the book of John. Now, obviously, John the Beloved did not live forever like the rest of the disciples. He died in service to Jesus. Basically, what he was telling Peter is, that's not your business. He warned Peter about what would happen to him, but what happened to John wasn't his business. Which, fair. That's not the point of the story, just something I find a little humorous. And I figured we were that far in the chapter, we'd finish reading. So let's talk about the significance of this. Number one, it's the third time that Jesus visits the disciples after he's died and come back. Number two, they're all at their work. Jesus once called them to be fishers of men. And here they are out fishing. But they recognize him immediately. This is the third time. The first two times, until he revealed himself, they didn't know. This time they're sure. So sure, Simon Peter throws himself into the water and comes charging towards Jesus as fast as he can. They sit, they break bread with him, they eat with him. Now, on the night Jesus was crucified, Simon Peter denies Jesus 3 times. So this is referred to as the restoration of Peter, because Jesus asked him 3 times, Peter, do you love me? Instead of denying Christ, he affirms 3 times, the same number of times he denied him. Yes, Lord, I love you, and I will follow you. Lord, you know me, and I love you. You know me, and I will follow you. This is the restoration, or what's another word for restoration? He's fixing the wrong thing he did. And he goes walking with Jesus. And it changes something for him. It doesn't undo what happened, but it makes it better. He's made his peace with what happened. And here he makes his peace with what will happen in the future, because he knows he will follow Jesus all the way up until his grave. Not Jesus's, but his own. And I like this story for a lot of reasons, but I really just love the image of Simon Peter realizing it's Jesus on the shore, tying his sweater around his waist and throwing himself in the water to get to Jesus just a little bit faster. What a wonderful way to follow after Jesus. That's what I'd like you guys to remember for this week. Jesus was there, they knew him, and he helped restore what Peter had lost. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back next week for another lesson. Bye.